Kim Caldwell begins her first season this year as a head coach at Tennessee in a sport that's really a family affair for her and her family. She was coached by her father, Scott Stevens, during her high school career in basketball. Her sisters, Ann and Jill, played collegiately at Cincinnati, and Kim played at Glenville State in West Virginia. When Kim became the head coach at her alma mater in 2016, her father served as an assistant coach on her staff until his passing in 2020. Her mom has a continuing practice of supporting the teams by preparing pregame meals, and that may continue. I'll let Kim speak to that. Kim's husband, Justin, has a basketball career of his own, serving as head coach at Glenville State and assistant at Marshall, and now working as player development coordinator for Rick Barnes at the University of Tennessee. So welcome the Lady Vols women's basketball coach, Kim Caldwell.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you guys all for being here. I'm excited about our team, and I'm excited about this season. Our team has been working incredibly hard. They still have a lot of work to do, but I appreciate them and respect them and love them for embracing the standard that we have set and already diving right into our culture.
All right, we'll begin with questions. If you have a question, raise your hand and we'll get one of the remote mics to you. And please remember to identify yourself and your media outlet when you ask your question. We'll start right on the front row in the middle.
Cora Hall with Knox News Sentinel. You brought in a lot of impact transfers, one of them being Ruby Whitehorn. Just what have you seen from her over the summer? How happy are you with her development? And just how big of a role do you anticipate her having on this team?
Yeah, I think Ruby will play a really big role. She came in as a very talented player that could already score the ball, but she's getting better and better every day. She's a good leader for us. She's a great person to be around. She works hard all the time, and so when you have players like that on your team, it makes everyone around them better.
Other questions, please raise your hand. All right, let's go to the third row on the right.
Ethan Westerman, Whole Hog Sports. Samara Spencer, one of the transfers you brought in, she came from a really score-fast offense. How has she kind of evolved into your program? What have you seen from her?
From the very beginning, she has been able to play at a pace that other people can't. So you can tell that she has a background of pushing the ball up the floor, running the ball up the floor as opposed to walking it. So she's been huge for us. And we make people keep up with her, which is big because she's going to have the ball in her hands a lot.
Raise your hand if you have a question. All right, let's go to the second row in the middle.
Hi, Kim. Kevin Skarbinski with the SEC blog. Was it a bit of a shock to the system? It sounds like it by talking to Sarah and Jewel, the off-season conditioning program that you put them through to be able to play at the pace. Are they at the place where you want them to be in terms of conditioning to play your style?
They are not, but I'm never really happy. And so we're just going to continue to run all season. They're getting better. They're getting stronger. And with that, with conditioning and getting on the baseline or going to the track, you get mentally tougher as well. And I do think we have accomplished that in the preseason.
Other questions, raise your hand. Let's go to the third row in the middle.
Good afternoon, Coach. Brad Harvey from College Sportscast. So in your first season with the Tennessee Vols, you have Jewel Spear and Sarah Puckett, and they both are coming back and have the experience at Tennessee. Just talk about what that means to you in your first year and to Tennessee.
Yeah, I think they are both incredible human beings, let alone great basketball players, great leaders. They're two of the best leaders we have on our team. They can score the ball. They have the ability to play fast. I'm so happy that they stayed because they have set our culture instantly, and that's not easy to do when you don't know the coach and you don't know what to expect, to step up and be a leader when it's new to everyone, and they've done a tremendous job at that.
Raise your hand if you have any other questions for the coach. Let's come down here to the front row in the middle.
I was talking to Jewel about a lot of individual skill work that you like your assistants to do with the players, and just from your standpoint, where do you feel like she's made the most strides with the skill work and maybe her shot and shooting at pace? Just where do you feel like she's really made strides this summer in that aspect?
Jewel has gotten better all the way around. Her defense has gotten better. Her driving has gotten better. Her shooting has always been really good. We're asking her to shoot a little quicker, a little deeper, but she's already had that. I think that was one reason why the system was really enticing to her to stay, so she has that. But she's taking charges, she's diving on the floor, she's a leader, she's outspoken. I could not ask for a better leader on this team.
Raise your hand if you have questions for the coach. Let's go to the front row on the left.
Hi, Coach. AP Stidham, AP and Kelly, as we see it. Coach, what's a consistent theme in your winning, and what made you embrace playing at a fast pace? Why?
I think the game is definitely trending fast. I think we're going to be on the forefront of that. We're going to turn it up a notch and play faster than most. But I think as far as making a winning culture, you have to have great relationships with your players, which I'm very fortunate that we already have a great culture at Tennessee in a short amount of time because our team is full of great kids. And so I love to be around them. And then you just have a brand and you believe in your brand and you teach it every day. You explain the why and you pour into your kids every day.
Other questions, please raise your hand. All right, let's come back to the front row in the middle.
How do you feel like people are settling into roles at this point with, the season a few weeks away? Are you someone who likes to be really clear about that and, make sure, we're established in what your role to be and what your teammates, just what's kind of that process like for you?
That's a really good question. It's a fine line because we don't ever put players in a box. We let players play every type of way because I want to get the most out of them. And so we do talk about roles. We talk about it publicly. We talk about it in a room and everyone goes around and says their roles. But because we practice and we play so free that our first couple games, our first scrimmages, some people will still try to do things out of their roles, and that's where film comes into play, and having those conversations and having had those conversations prior are really important.
Raise your hand if you have other questions for the coach. Let's go to the front row on the left.
Hi, John Zena with Associated Press. You talked on September 3rd, I think, about baby Caldwell on the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously something to celebrate. Is it also, especially if y'all go deep into March, are there any kind of adjustments you have to make, challenges, anything like that?
Yeah, I spent a really long time, I think maybe the first 3 months of my pregnancy being really worried about it. And then, you have to give it to God, and God gave us this blessing for a reason, and He's got it. And I don't have a lot of power over it, but I have a great team around me. My husband will be there to support, my mom will come, our staff is ready. And when we talk to our team about it, you really put it in a light of, hey, we need all of you guys to step up and be leaders. We need to come together now. And I do think at that moment it became a really positive thing.
Questions for Coach, please raise your hand. All right, back to the second row.
How did you balance, in terms of putting the roster together, trying to build something for the future, but not overlook this season, especially for your veterans, and trying to win right now?
Absolutely. When you're senior heavy, you want to go all in for your seniors, and you want to make sure that we establish everything the way we need to now. And so this team is a really big part of what we're trying to do long term. They're team one, and so they have a big role to play. And so you bring in players that can come help you try to do that immediately. I like who we had on our team, on our roster already, and you just try to bring complementing pieces into that.
All right, let's come back to the front row in the middle.
There's been a lot of change in the SEC this year. A couple coaching changes, 2 new teams. It feels like, in some ways, the middle of the pack is pretty wide open. Is that something that you guys want to put a chip on your player's shoulder of, hey, you can go out and take this, or you kind of let them decide, how to motivate themselves in that way, or how do you approach that aspect of it?
Yeah, no matter if we're number 1 or number 16, we're always going to play with a chip on our shoulder. Does not matter. That's kind of our brand. That's kind of what we want to be. We want to be blue collar. We want to be hardworking. We want to be motivated all the way around, and we want to be motivated together. And so rankings don't really matter on that end.
Raise your hand if you have a question for the coach. Hands up. Anyone? Last call. All right, let's come back to the front row on the left.
Coach, what's your impression of the SEC? This is your first time, and to take over a program like Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's so much more than I could have ever dreamed of to actually be the head coach at the University of Tennessee. And so it's amazing. You take it day by day, stride by stride, moment by moment, and you really just have to focus on basketball and focus on being around your team, or you could get consumed in all of this.
See, does I see a hand back here? You're good? Okay. Okay. Any other questions for the coach? Raise your hand. All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.